Yes, Mr. Manley.
Well, Lord, thank you very much indeed. Lord, may I have till 2:20, please? I think just an extra.
Do you really need another 20 minutes?
No, 2:20, please.
Another 18 minutes? Let's see how we go. Frankly, I thought 10 minutes would be... See how... Okay.
I'll move swiftly. My Lord, first of all, page 93 in the appellant's bundle, please. That's part of the Home Office refusal letter. Touched on before, and I now see during the luncheon adjournment why I couldn't find this because it was in a different part of my skeleton article. May I invite the court to also cross-refer to paragraph 4 of my skeleton argument, please. So page 93, appellant's bundle, paragraph 4 of my skeleton argument, please.
Yes.
That refers to the reasons for refusal letter, which is open. It refers at Roman 5, Arabic 4, Roman 5 to the TGTE letter,
yes,
referring to him as a volunteer. And then Roman 10, I've said, importantly, Secretary of State concluded, bundle page 93, accepted low-level activity for a prescribed organisation, given your limited low-level involvement with these organisations.
Yes.
It's not accepted to be perceived as having a significant role in relation to post-conflict Tamil separatism, or that you actually can return to your home country on account.
We can read this, yes.
I'm very grateful, thank you. And if we go back, if I invite the court to go back...
So what is your point?
The judge at 46, paragraph 46, page 49, deals with this aspect in relation to the TGTE. And I respectfully say two points. We spent quite a lot of time on this earlier. Firstly, there was already a concession made by the Secretary of State in respect of link to the TGTE. Low level I accept, but a link is there. And if one reads through paragraph 46, the judge is not saying there are no activities for TGTE. Second...
No, of course she's not, but so what?
She's not. So
what's your point?
My point is there is this link to the TGTE.
Yes, but she says it wasn't, the link was not of a nature that would have rendered him of interest to the Sri Lankan government.
That's what I'm coming on to. So I thought before the luncheon adjournment it was, it may be I misunderstood my lady, Lady Justice Laing, in respect of the alternative judge, even if I'm wrong, the following. There is an acceptance both in the refusal letter and by the judge that there were these activities. What might happen now that there are these activities? That's where I move on to.
But this is an appeal against the Secretary of State's decision, so in a way it doesn't matter what the Secretary of State's accepted in the reasons for refusal letter. What matters is what findings the FTT makes on the appeal.
But if I got it wrong, I'll deal with it and spend more time. But I understand the Vice President saying that the judge does find that there are these activities for TGTE.
Well, we can see that she does. She says, I find that given the timing and level of his involvement with the TGTE, so she's saying there is some, but yes, she says it's not of a kind that will...
Understood. Yes. Well, I'll move on then. And then I come on to the temporary travel documents aspect. So on the ground, as it were, at the coalface, what's going to happen to this? What's going to happen to this appellant? He says, I don't have a passport. The judge says, well, I don't believe that you came on anything other than a lawful exit from Sri Lanka. To remove him requires temporary travel documents.
Well, would it require, what about his passport? You don't need temporary travel documents if you've got a passport.
Well, this is the quandary. He says, I don't have it. So the only way he's going to be removed is by the Secretary of State saying, I will have to obtain temporary travel documents for you. Now,
where does he say he doesn't have a passport?
He says he left Sri Lanka on a Pakistani passport.
Yes, but you found to the contrary.
Yes, she does. Yes, the judge does.
So what's your point?
So maybe I'm going too fast. I'll slow it down a little bit. My Lord,
Well, no, do it faster. Get to the point is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, of course, I understand. But, my lord, before this appellant can be removed, he will need travel documents to enable him to enter Sri Lanka. He...
you say travel documents, so that could include his passport. If he's
could include his passport, but he, as we can see, says, I don't have one.
Yes, but he has. He's not telling the truth about that. That's the finding.
Even if one takes that to its logical conclusion, that is not available for him to be removed.
Why not?
Because...
he will produce it.
Well, my lord, it can't be if he says, this is what the judge has said, there's a finding against me, this is what I maintain.
But
so
how do you know he will maintain it?
Sorry, my lord.
How do you know he will maintain it? The judge saw through what he said. Now he's got to go. You're true. Of course, he could throw it away or burn it and say, well, people do sometimes do that.
Well, no, that's the
but you can hardly rely on the fact that you're going to burn your passport, if that is the case, or destroy it, as a reason why you shouldn't be sent back.
Well, no, it can't be on its own, but if this is what I say, I hope not flipping it when I say, as it were on the coalface, what would actually happen? How would he be removed? It would require the obtaining of a travel document. And what I was going to take the court to was what GJ said about obtaining travel documents. And if I take you to that, paragraph 346 first, please. I think there are 3 entries.
See, I thought you were taking a different point. I thought you were saying, well, even if he did have a passport, it will have expired by now. That's what you said in your Stellison, but that's not the point you're making now.
Well, I'm taking it, especially in view of the patience which the court has shown me to get to the logical end, as it were.
Okay.
So 346, and if it's numbered, it's page 65 in the top right-hand corner, right at the bottom of 346. 346.
GJ. Yeah.
So right at the bottom, not issued in London, etc. Before anyone whose travel document at the date even begins to return, the authorities in Colombo have had the opportunity to establish whether they are of interest and know everything they need to know about the individual. And then 352 on that same page, the evidence before us indicates that any Tamil who seeks a travel document from the Sri Lankan High Commission, that abbreviation is, in London or another
yes.
diaspora hotspot.
But is this the point? The point is, you say, if by whatever route he hasn't got or won't produce his old passport, he will have to be sent to the Sri Lankan High Commission to get travel documents. So he will have to pass through an official process in a way in which he wouldn't have to if he would just walk through the airport with his passport. Got that? But if he does that, and they therefore go back to Colombo and say, can we get travel documents for this person? Colombo consults the file and finds nothing on it. Nothing of interest, which is what the judge has said they will find. So how does that help your case?
Well, no, the first part, 346, was the interview before he can get the travel documents.
Yes.
And if I just spend a brief moment on that then. Sorry, 356. Yeah, 346. Yes. 346. The travel docs are not issued in London. They're emailed to the High Commission from Colombo, and then a stamp and photograph are added here. Before anyone whose travel documents are out of date begins to return, the authorities in Colombo have had the opportunity to establish whether they are of interest and know everything they need to know about that.
Yes, there's nothing about an interview there, sir.
352, then jumping a little bit, the evidence before us indicates that any Tamil who seeks a travel document from the Sri Lankan High Commission in London or any other diaspora hotspot will have a file created in Colombo or will be interviewed in London before a decision is made to issue. That stands for temporary travel document. By the time the unfortunate acronym DIE, which I think is Department of Immigration and Emigration in Colombo, emails a temporary travel document to London to to be issued to such an individual, the Sri Lankan authority will know all they need to know about what activities an individual has undertaken out.
Does it say anywhere whether in that interview, assuming Colombo has said there's nothing on this guy's file, they will nevertheless ask him about his political opinions?
Making sure I don't mix up KK with GJ. Can I pause on that for a moment and not give you the wrong answer?
Yeah.
But thinking it through, the reason he's being interviewed is, tell us who you are, what's going on, what's the background, what have you been doing here for the last 10 years or so?
He says, I'm married, I've been working at whatever it is.
Yes.
That's what he says, isn't he? Well, what would he say?
Yes, you're a Tamil. What do you think of the separatist organisations? And he will have to be truthful.
Yes, but since he has no genuine commitment to them, he'll say, I don't support their cause. So what's the problem?
Yes, and my lord, the problem is that that's where the authorities, i.e. the case law, I respectfully say, comes to his aid. Because the GJ did not consider the surplus aspects of this case at all. This appellant has been accepted by the Secretary of State as somebody who's linked to a prescribed organisation. The authorities in Sri Lanka are not, frankly, interested in the niceties of whether there is genuine commitment or actual motivation, or whether it's perceived to be.
Yes, but that's assuming that they know and that they are. If we don't know what they're going to ask, there's no finding what they will ask, but they might well say. You suggest they might say, "What is your attitude to Tamil separatism?" And he will say, because this is what the FTT has said are his genuine opinions.
Yes.
I don't support it.
Yes.
So end of story.
But my lord, I missed the last part. That he will say, "I don't support it."
Yeah, because he doesn't support it.
Well, he does.
He doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
I'm so sorry. He doesn't.
He doesn't support Tamil separatism. There's a finding that he doesn't support Tamil separatism.
Yes.
And if you can challenge that finding, it's a whole different ballgame.
My lord,
But on the findings of the tribunal, he doesn't support Tamil separatism. He's only said he does to avoid being removed. When push comes to shove, and he has to tell the truth, which is all the authorities say he will do, the truth is he doesn't support it.
My lord, I may have misunderstood when earlier I took the court to the refusal letter, paragraph 93, and to paragraph 46 of the judge's decision. May I very briefly just take you back, the court back to that?
Yes.
This is important.
No, of course it's
I just want to, and it's difficult because naturally, and I accept this, naturally, all of our inclinations would be, we don't want persons who are not genuine to be getting the protection of this country. That's natural, quite proper inclination.
Yes, but the law says that if they would be at risk,
Yes.
however dishonourable their motives, they will get protection. I just said that, so you don't have to fight that battle.
Yes. So, paragraph 93.
Paragraph 93 or page 93?
My apologies. Page 93, I'm sorry, about halfway down. 4 lines from the bottom. I think all of the paragraph. Firstly, it says you're a low-level helper, and then 4 lines from the bottom. Given your limited low-level involvement with these organisations, not accepted.
It's about the third time you've shown us this.
Yes. So my first point is that there is already an acceptance of his link to Tamil separatism. So may I deal with?
No, there's an acceptance that he belongs to, or is a say, can't remember what the word is, and that's by the government. That's not by the judge, but by the Secretary of State.
Yes. That concession hasn't been withdrawn. He is a part of that
Yes.
separatist organisation, separatist government or party. If my Lord...
If you keep going.
Thank you. Then paragraph 46 of the judge's decision, which we spent quite some time on previously.
Look, you've already up to 20 past, and you still haven't quite got to your point. Now, it's important that we know what the point is,
Yes.
for your client's sake. Say it in a couple of sentences.
At paragraph 46, the judge accepts the link to the TGTE.
Yes.
The TGTE is a prescribed organisation.
Yes.
It seeks...
Yes. But he says...
separatists.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's important. But he says the link is not a genuine link.
Yes.
How do you get round that?
It does
Not on the question of whether he is at risk, but on the question of, which I thought was what you were on, why when he is asked what is his opinion about Tamil separatism, if he is asked, he will say, I don't believe in it, I don't support it.
Well, I'll pause it. So the judge doesn't say it's not a genuine link. There is a genuine link. The judge says you're not genuinely committed.
Yes.
So have you been involved with Tamil separatism?
Well, if that's a different question. Do we know they were asked? Do we know they asked that question?
Well, the evidence is that the government of Sri Lanka tolerates no basis for separatism. There's a difference between anti-government activity and politics compared with separatism. And this is a prescribed organisation seeking separatism. I can probably, if I take my Lord, and I think it's summarised very well, if I may say so, by my Lord the Vice President in KK when there was the permission application. That's paragraph 14 under subheading of motivation.
Yeah, well, we know that, yes.
And then if I skip quite a bit to paragraph 18, please. And there, when I was considering the Secretary of State's grounds of skeleton argument, etc., reference to GJ.
You've made this point before. I'm sorry to be, I'm not trying to make life difficult for you, but we haven't even heard from Mr. Keith yet, and it's now well after 20 past. You can't remake old points.
I'll be very very quick in it. Paragraph 19. It is said that potential returnees would typically have to undergo an interview at the High Commission to obtain temporary travel documents, and that if they were asked whether they had separatist views or more particularly about surplus activities and support separatism, it was necessary to assume that they would give truthful answers. That's that they would say their participation in separatist activities were insincere. And then, my Lord, skipping a couple of sentences.
Well, I don't even want to skip the second sentence. We were told there was no evidence about what questions were asked in such interviews.
Yes. However, even if it is reasonable to assume that in many or most cases questions would be asked about surplus activities, and that someone who had in fact been participating but doing so insincerely would say that that was the case. Since it would have been their interest to do so, it does not follow that they would be believed. Indeed, it would not be thought that the interview would, it might be thought that the interview would be distinctly sceptical. Then over the page at 20, qualitative assessment in terms of separatist activities referred to. And then 22, yes, this is the nub of it, paragraph 22, my Lord. Second line, it is in my view unarguably clear, in particular from the third sentence, that the essential point being made is that if the government of Sri Lanka has information about a person's involvement in surplus activities which cross the necessary threshold, it will have no inclination to seek to go behind the information, inquire into whether there was whether the involvement was really sincere.
Yes, but that's what I put to you earlier. The crucial point is whether it has information about a person's involvement which crossed the necessary threshold, which in paragraph 20, I had said it must be recalled the question only arises where a person is known to have taken part in activities which, by reference to the other factors specified by the tribunal, including the nature, extent and duration of those authorities, show them playing a significant role in separatist activity.
Yes.
At that point, the point being made in paragraph 22 is they won't bother to ask, well, was it sincere or not?
And here,
But you've got to get to that first point before that arises.
here it is. So we have from 2017 at the latest, because the refusal decision from 2017 refers to earlier TGTE activity, and in 2020 further TGTE activity. So it's over a period of years, even if it's low level. The interviewer will ask these questions. He will have to tell the truth.
Right. Well, I really think you have had more than a generous amount of time. Is that ground 3? Was I right to say that's parasitical on the other grounds?
It is. It is.
Well, I think we really will have to draw your submissions to a close.
Well, Lord, would you give me 3 sentences? Allow me three sentences, just to bring all of that together.
You mean to say it all again?
No, not at all.
All right.
Just
you've had a lot of indulgence, Mr. Mahmood.
I'm very glad.
You can have 3 sentences, but I mean 3 sentences, not.
So, my Lord, in terms of all of that, what I respectfully say is GJ had moved on significantly in a case such as this, with involvement with a prescribed organisation. The appellant, when being asked about obtaining his temporary travel documents, will have to be truthful following the HJ Iran and RT Supreme Court line of authority. Paragraph 310 of GJ makes clear that he is very likely to be able to wander through the airport, but that's because that's what the authorities do. They'll be picked up later. There will not be the opportunity or nuance of you are probably insincere in your activities. The link to the separatist movement will cause this appellant to be persecuted. There was an error, material error of law in the judge's assessment, and an error of law by Upper Tribunal Judge Grubb when he was undertaking his assessment in respect of that as well. Well, can I assist the court any further?
Not myself. Nor either my lord or my lady. I think we will rise for a minute or two and see where we have reached.
Judge Grubb a little bit more, but I haven't had a chance to. Very good. So you judicial assistants or you lawyers? So what stage are you in your career?
So I started QPH
will change it. But I think it's, in our church, we used to take about 15 and then we reduced to 5, something. Third less makes a huge difference, doesn't it? Where are you going to go for your pupillage?
So I'm going to be staying here. So I'm from Essex anyway, so it's close to home.
I think there's somebody from my chambers who's actually in practice. There's going to be a judicial assistant soon. It must be the High Court. It must be.
I think that's the customary.
Right, right.
There's also a Supreme Court as well. You have to be qualified to. You have to literally be practicing to do that. So
Yeah.
you have to be one of those as well.
And you said recently qualified.
Yeah, recent qualified.
Probably high court,
Yeah.
because that's where it'll be.
So, great experience. I will see a wide range of cases and
Yeah.
really gets to be very, very good experience. Because you'll find when you're in pupillage, the first 6, you're sort of raring to go. You want to get stuck in. And here you see it from a very different perspective when you get all the documents, both sides' arguments.
Mr. Keith, we propose to dismiss the appeal, and in those circumstances, there's no need for us to hear any submissions from you. The one thing I think it's prudent to say in cases of this kind is that if there are points which, having heard Mr. Mahmood's submissions and the interchanges between him and the court, which you think we may not be aware of, and which from the point of view of other cases you would like to draw to our attention, we should give you the opportunity to do so. But that's not a particular encouragement, but it is a course that, speaking for myself, I generally take in these cases, because every now and then there's some aspect that may have escaped us that ought to be mentioned. Is there anything you want to say on that rather limited basis?
My lord, might I just take instructions in relation to on that basis? I don't think there is.
Yes. Do you want to rise for a minute while you do so?
Just for 5 minutes, simply because whilst I might have got to it under head of steam, starting afresh, I just want to check that I don't miss anything.
No, fair enough. We will rise for another few minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks guys.
We've been abandoned.
Yeah, so Bridgerton. Well, I think we're still on the live stream anyway, so we've got to watch that criticism. Yeah, got to watch that criticism of Bridgerton.
Yes, sorry, like when it's like a short ride, we don't talk about.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So they try to be diverse, right?
Hmm.
And which is also like, and we would like to see more diversity in the team. But however, what to do to be diverse is plug in essentially into the Bridgerton period drama.
Hmm.
And they are lords and ladies, duchesses and dukes, which sounds nice until you consider that they have effectively clothed those under colonial rule and those enslaved at the time in the clothes of their slave drivers or their colonial oppressors.
Hmm.
So considering that, so like for example, Mr. Clothes are from India, right?
Yeah.
And it disturbs me that because it doesn't solve racism problem.
No, it doesn't.
It just it almost just erases the atrocities of the past, which I think is problematic.
Yeah, it's not necessarily what went wrong, that's what we're in the future.
Alright.
My lord, thank you for the time. I have no further submissions to make.
Thank you very much. We will reserve our judgment. That means that in due course a draft will be supplied to both counsel to enable them to agree, if possible, the terms of a consequential order. If they can't, to provide short written submissions so that we can make a final order at the time of hand down. Also, of course, to help us by drawing attention to any typographical or other minor factual errors. As I suspect both of you are aware from a couple of recent decisions, there have been occasions where the draft document, draft judgment so circulated has been used for other purposes. That is not permissible. It should be circulated only to those people in chambers or among the clients who have the need to see it for the limited purposes for which it's circulated in the first place. So please be aware of that. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very thankful for accommodating with the matters which you raised. So very grateful indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.